Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest in our series of the Tales of Jesus. And today I'm going to be looking at a really very short little parable that Jesus told. You might not even be aware of it, but it's a magnificent little story that has lots and lots of good things packed in it. So here we go. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 35. And Jesus says this: "Be dressed ready for service, and keep your lamps burning, like servants waiting for their master to return from a wedding banquet, so that when he comes and knocks, they can immediately open the door for him. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them watching when he comes. Truly, I tell you, he will dress himself to serve, will have them recline at the table, and will come and wait on them. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them ready, even if he comes in the middle of the night or toward daybreak. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." So that's Luke chapter 12, verses 35 to 40. And in that, actually, there are two stories. And because of that, the overriding idea appears to be about being ready. And that's what I want to talk about today: being ready and being prepared. Be dressed ready for service. We're talking here of slaves. We're not talking of just mere servants. The translation can also be slaves. And those slaves are to be prepared. Now, it is quite clear in this context that we are the slaves. That doesn't sound too promising, to be honest. But Paul in Philippians says we are slaves of Jesus Christ. And a famous prayer talks about serving him as being perfect freedom. To be a slave of Jesus means, ironically, to be freed, to do what is good and what is best. But nonetheless, we are called to be slaves. He is the king, we do his bidding. And the two things here we're told to do is to be dressed ready for service and to keep your lamps burning. Now, being dressed ready for service is being, in the Middle East back then, it says being girded. And that means actually in a long robe, tying your robe up so it doesn't go on the ground and get spoiled, so you can serve, you can kneel, you can wash up and all these things. That's what it means in that case. And only people who are slaves or people who are going on a long journey gird themselves in that way. The other striking thing is that we're to have our lamps ready for service. I think only those who have lived in countries where there isn't electricity will know how dark it can be. When we used to live in Lebanon, we used to have power cuts quite regularly, and we needed the candles to be ready before, hopefully, a generator kicked in. It would be pitch black. You couldn't see anything at all. So keeping your lamps burning, waiting for the master to return, was essential. Otherwise, he couldn't find his way, you couldn't find your way to serve him, and the whole thing would be useless. But the overriding theme is being ready, expecting the master to return. And it tells us that he is at a banquet. And they don't know when the banquet will finish and when he will return. It could be late at night, it could be early in the morning. It is that difficult. Jesus goes on to say at the end of this parable, another little story about the Son of Man being like a thief breaking into the house and no one was ready. And so this parable does speak about Jesus' return and indeed Jesus' first coming for those who weren't ready. Are we ready? Are we ready for his return? Are we ready for that day when life leaves us? Because it will come to the same thing. Are we prepared? Are we waiting for the Master, acting as his servants, doing his bidding? That is our calling. And that, if you like, is the beginning and the end of this story. But the middle is really exciting, and that we'll turn to in the next part. Amen.